What's up, guys? Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. This is going to be one of the most important videos that I ever make. Matter of fact, I want you to do me one favor and lean in nice and close and listen to every single word I say, because I promise you, this is going to be very, very important. It's going to help you forever, especially if you've been dealing with a weight problem, especially if you've been trying lots of diets. Don't even get me started on that word yet. I'll get to that, though. The fact is, I'm a big believer in the power of nutrition. I'm a big believer in the fact that what you put in your body determines not just how you look, but how you feel and how healthy you are on not just a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis, but on a minute-to-minute basis. We know that, right? We've put things in our body that have changed the way we feel pretty quickly, right? And we need to understand that that power can never be underestimated. And I think a lot of us do. And that's why we oftentimes reach out and realize that we need to do something about our nutrition. I'm going to say that what we put in our body every day may be one of the most important decisions that we make every single day. Which brings me back to that concept of diets. Guys, you know how I feel about that term. If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you realize that I don't like the term. I hate it. Because a diet sounds temporary. A diet means something temporary. I'm going on a diet means I'm going to be off of that soon. And you need to realize that the long game here is the only thing that ever matters when it comes to looking and feeling the way you should from now until the day that you die, which I hope, if you do it right, is a long time from now, God willing. Now, there are dangerous diets. There's a lot of different diets we could follow. Let's cover some of them. The Paleo diet, the South Beach diet, the Atkins diet, the grapefruit diet, the coffee and cocaine diet, right? People have probably used shit like that for a long time. The fact is, anything that's earned the word diet after its name, it probably works. It works. I can guarantee you they work. They all create weight loss. They all do. They wouldn't have ever gotten to the point that they earned the diet title if they hadn't worked for a lot of people. But I don't gauge short-term results for a working diet. I gauge your ability to stick to it for a lifetime as the only criteria for whether something is worthwhile. So for me, the most dangerous diet in the world is the one that you can't stick to. So that could be all of them. It could be all of them. Beyond that, even when you decide that you need to do something about your nutrition, let's start using the word right, because we got to get rid of that word diet. If you decide you need to do something about your nutrition, how do you go about it? Do you just jump headfirst into it? Because that's a major mistake. That could be why you're failing in the first place. Let's play trainer for a second. We're all going to get a chance. Let's step into Jeff Cavalier's shoes, the trainer. So I have a client that walks into the gym today. We're making this up. 320 pounds. The guy's 49 years old, never worked out a day in his life, diabetic, body fat at least 40%, and he's going to train. I have two options of programs I can give him. Option A, you get to pick here, listen close. Option A, he's going to do squat, bench, and deadlifts. We're going to work in the 3 to 5 rep max. We're going to throw in some pause squats just to make sure that we're reinforcing his ability to hold those things. And a lot of eccentric overload. I think that's going to be helpful. And some plyometrics at the end, and maybe a little bit of kickboxing, just for some conditioning. Okay, that's option A. Option B is we're going to start really, really easy on this guy. We're going to maybe do a little bit of flexibility training, a lot of education actually early on, a little bit of mobility work. I'm sure those joints probably could use a little bit of help. And then maybe start introducing the concept of even like just resistance bands. So they won't have to really utilize his own body weight, which is heavy, or some additional weight, through weights and barbells at this point in time. Which one would you go with? Which do you think is the more appropriate for that individual? Okay, now there's always the a-hole in the bunch that's going to say option A, but we all should know that option B is where they need to go. Especially if you've been watching this channel, you probably realize that's probably a better route. At least taking a step off the gas for that guy. So why is it when we decide we're going to do something about our nutrition and we decide to go down this diet road, right? Why do we jump into it head first? Why do we go from 0 to 60? Who thinks that going from 0 to 60 makes any more sense nutritionally as it does when you're taking your first crack at weight training? It doesn't. It's setting yourself up for failure. And I could give you a couple examples of that. So let's take a popular diet regime right now. We're going with the Keto Diet. Now, guys, I have nothing against a particular form of eating, because if you could turn that form of eating into a lifestyle, a lifelong style of eating, then I am thrilled. I don't have one way, and I'm going to get to this in a second too, one way of demanding that you eat. That's not my methodology. Matter of fact, I think anybody that tells you that there's only one way to do it, and this is the only way you should do it, and gets actually cult-like, I guess the keto cult, who's going to tell you this is the only way to do it, and everything else is wrong, that you got to run as fast as you can away from that person. All right, but back to that. Ketogenic dieting requires that you drop your carbohydrate intake pretty severely to about 10% or less of your total overall calorie intake for the day. Now let's put ourselves back in the shoes of that individual that was overweight, who needs to lose weight, which is a lot of people. Do you think that that person is actually sitting there eating 10% or less of carbohydrates right now? No. I can guarantee you they're probably eating in excess of 60% carbohydrates, if not more. So to go from 60 or 70% of your overall caloric intake from carbohydrates down to 10% or less, how logical is that? So cut all that out. That's it. Diet starts on Monday. You're going to cut it all out. We're going to get you right down here. You're going to do great. This will be perfect for you. You're going to change your way of fueling your body. We're going from carbohydrates to ketones. You're good to go. Let's go. You think that's got a likelihood of success? Will he lose weight? Of course he will. It's a diet. It's earned its title. It's going to work. Long term, I doubt it. If it does, then great. He's found a lifestyle that he can do. Now it's worthwhile. But if you jump into it like that, it's not going to work. So what would I do in a situation like this? I'd recommend something different. You want to stick to the diets, go to something like a zone diet, 30-30-40, right? At least see if you can stick to that first. Get yourself down knowing that you're heading towards keto, but you don't jump down there. You try to take an approach that's a moderate step in the right direction to at least set yourself up to become more accustomed to that, as opposed to jumping right in. It's going to have the same impact to be able to take these things in stages. Now, I understand that we're not getting the same outcome that a ketogenic diet is creating in terms of your body's preferred fuel. I understand that. That's not getting there via a 30-30-40 diet. But from a standpoint of the individual being able to stick to that, they need to be able to take some sort of a moderate step. Even when I first started my foray into eating better and healthier and turning it into a lifestyle, I went from a really crappy diet of a lot of sugary foods and sweets and things that just are not part of an athlete's diet. Not on a consistent basis, they aren't. And I made small changes. And then when I was able to maintain that and I start to see results, I went back again and I made additional small changes. And I went back again and I made additional small changes. You know what I didn't care about? Instant results. I never cared about instant results. I was in it for the lifelong process. I understood that if I did it right once, I'd never have to do this again. But as a result of people jumping in too strong, too fast to a diet they can't stick with, every 6 months, every 8 months, every 12 months, whatever it is, they're back doing it again and again. You know why it's dangerous? It's extremely dangerous because every time you fail, you're doing a lot of things that are setting the stage for you to continue to fail. You're starting to convince yourself you can't stick to anything. You're starting to convince yourself that dieting is not for you. You either give up at that point, right? A lot of people do. I'm done with this. I can't do it. Or you get more desperate, you get less patient, less willing to go through that adaptive process, and you jump into the next one full force ahead, and it fails again, and it fails again, and it fails again. And guess what? You know what's happening during this whole time? You're also getting older. We're all getting, one thing we can't stop is the aging process. And as we get older and older and older, it gets more and more and more difficult to win this battle. I'm not saying it's impossible. We got lots of guys. ATHLEAN-X has proven it. Lots of guys that can do this at an advanced age and look unbelievable. But it does become more challenging. You have to become more and more committed. It's not as easy as it was when you were in your teens and 20s. And we all know that. So what I'm pleading for you to do is try to make this intervention with the one mindset of getting off this damn diet roller coaster. Stop thinking about all these temporary fixes. Stop thinking about the short-term weight loss. Turn it into a lifestyle that you're going to stick with forever. Find the one method of eating, the nutrition, right? The form of nutrition that's going to fuel your body and keep you in that state for the rest of your life, feeling good, getting stronger, being healthier from now until the day you die. And you know what? Here's the shocker. I don't care what method it is. People that think that, again, so cult-like, and the fact that you have to eat this way are so dangerous to you and everybody they're telling their information to, it pisses me off. I want you to be able to find something that you can stick with. And when you do, I'm happy. There is no one method. I have a method that's worked for me. I have methods I recommend that I think are going to help you to keep your sanity the most. They're going to help you to not become exclusionary in your dietary practices, where you're eliminating this and eliminating that. Right? I want it to feel as if it's not deprivation-based. It's something that you can actually do. I'm losing my damn voice. I'm so passionate about this. But it's true, guys. The fact is, if you do this right, you'll never have to do it again. So I hope that this came across to you guys. The fact is, if you can't stick to something, it's not a good option. And for me, temporary means nothing. Lifetime is the only solution here, right? And the longer you go by getting this wrong, the more and more dangerous it becomes. And the quicker you can get rid of the diet term and into something that actually becomes something that's lifelong nutrition, the faster you'll be well on your way to do that, guys. I've laid it all out for you guys step by step. I have a method. I believe in it. But it may not work for everybody. How's that for more truth? It may not work for everybody, but I guarantee if you give it a shot, you're going to be getting yourself healthier and putting yourself further down that path to being able to make that right fine-tuning decision for yourself that works for you every single time. All right, if you're looking for our plans, they're over at ATHLEAN-X.com. In the meantime, if you found that video helpful and hopefully truthful, I hope you leave me a comment and thumbs up below. And also, guys, do me a favor, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on those notifications. There's a certain way that YouTube has of sometimes making sure those notifications get turned off. You got to turn them back on by clicking the button right next to the link itself. In the meantime, guys, I'll see you guys back here in just a couple days with more videos. See you soon.